Welcome to Toad on the Road 6. Well, we promised you Ireland, and after our stopover in Gowerton, the ferry was finally ready to sail. We just had to drive to Fishguard. We approached the ferry port at Fishguard with slight trepidation. Firstly, I'd heard that the usual large ferry had been replaced by a much smaller one temporarily, and I was slightly nervous about taking this rather large motorhome into such a small space. And St George's Channel that we were about to cross is notorious for being very bumpy, and Pip suffers from seasickness.
So I've taken my gummies, my ginger gummies, which are supposed to be good for travel sickness, and we're now boarding the ferry. Let's pray for a smooth crossing. Now we have to go up top for a sea view. Wow. This is exciting. Or is it a little bit terrifying?
I'd rather we kept moving.
Whoa.
A few interesting manoeuvres later, and we were safely tucked aboard the Ben McCrae, which would be our home for the next 3 to 3.5 hours. Just pressed the wrong button for a change.
Not quite so close. Thank you.
So we're on the
Ben McCrae.
the Ben McCrae, which is considered it's sounds Scottish, even though we're crossing from Fishguard in Wales to Rosslare in Ireland. The noise you can hear in the background are the various car alarms that have been set off by the movement of the vessel. So if that goes on all the way over, then it'll probably clear the decks quite soon, to be honest.
Sea seems quite calm.
Sea
Can't see
seems
any white
calm.
horses.
Pip's not feeling sick yet, which
No,
is
I'm
good.
okay, but we have only been gone 5 minutes. Plenty of time for that.
So it's a 3-hour crossing, so crosswords and puzzles and maybe the odd pint of Guinness, who knows.
Who knows? I think we'll save that till we get there.
Disappointed face. Thankfully the sea really did play ball, and we were soon disembarking at Rosslare and beginning our very short journey to a place called To Goat and our first night's campsite.
So this is our first site, Coral Gables. Very basic. Not even any bins for your rubbish. Please asking you to please take your bins away. So that's the negatives. Positives, quiet. About a 5-minute drive from the ferry, so it was very handy for when we got off last night. There's a shower block there, and that's kind of it really. So a good stopover point. Negatives again, have to pay £1 for a shower, which no, €1 for a shower, which I find a bit galling when you've already paid for the site. But hey ho, they were hot and quite pleasant. So here we are, and today we're en route to Cork.
Our journey to Cork or more accurately Blarney near Cork, would take us right along the south coast. It was about 125 miles. Unfortunately, the timing of our visit to Ireland couldn't have been worse. The Iran war had driven up fuel prices, and the Irish population, already feeling very highly taxed, decided that this would be the time to protest. They did this in two ways. Firstly, farmers drove very, very slowly down main roads, causing incredibly long tailbacks. We got caught in one such protest on our way to Cork. Our first indication that there was something wrong was when the very short red on Google Maps just kept moving. More significant to our holiday, however, were the fact that protesters also blocked the refineries, causing firstly long queues at petrol stations, and then secondly, those stations running out of fuel altogether. Whilst I have great sympathy for all of the protesters, and certainly the Irish public seemed to be fully in support, the lack of fuel meant we had to cut our holiday really short. We eventually arrived at our campsite in Blarney, settled in for the night, looking forward to the next day and our visit to Blarney Castle. At the heart of the village sits the village green, known locally as the Square. This piece of land is highly significant, as Blarney is one of only 3 villages in Ireland to preserve a traditional communal village green built in the captured field manner and enclosed by a stone wall. Whilst the design is Tudor style, it was laid out in 1765 by the landlord St John Jeffreys as part of a planned industrial settlement for local linen and cotton mill workers. Their houses would have lined all 4 sides at one time. But of course, no visit to Blarney would be complete without taking in the castle and kissing the Blarney Stone. The current keep at Blarney was built by the McCarthy family and dates back to 1446. The castle is set in beautiful grounds and it's well worth a visit, even without the Blarney Stone. Beautiful though the castle was, however, Pip and I both agreed we're not coming all this way and not kissing the Stone of Eloquence, or as it's more commonly known, the Blarney Stone. The most common story surrounding the stone is that it used to be used for the coronation of Irish kings and that it has magical powers, hence why it was embedded high up in the castle wall to keep it safe. To get to the Blarney Stone, you have to climb to the top of the keep. Today it was quite quiet, but at the height of the tourist season, the queue would go all the way around this parapet, down the stairs and out the front door. I did tell you there were lots of stories about the stone.
Grab the reins. Take your head down. Kiss the box.
Hold on to the rail, babe.
Just there, so put your nose. Yeah, hold on.
You are holding on to me.
You got me?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, you can.
Just kiss the Blarney Stone. Do you feel any different?
Oh, don't about it.
It's a very freaky experience. One I don't ever want to repeat.
I've seen it on television, but you don't really appreciate it until you're bending over backwards and going down and having to go down about 2 feet or 3 feet.
With somebody holding onto your legs.
Some guy who said he's had 2 months experience, which wasn't particularly reassuring.
Holding onto your legs.
No, yeah, that's good.
Anyway, we've done it now.
We've done it now, and I'm feeling particularly verbose, so it clearly works. So we're in a very tiny room, which is accessed by a twisty little pathway for discretion. Corridor, probably better rather than pathway. That Blarney Stone obviously didn't work. And here you can see above here there would have been built the actual lavatories themselves with a drop. And there was enough room apparently for 3 very sociable people to sit along there, if that's what you're into. And talking of dropping unpleasant things, this murder hole was positioned right above the front door so that burning oil, rocks, whatever, could be dropped on the head of those trying to get in. Like this unsavoury character, for example. In the grounds of Blarney Castle, we find Blarney House, a stunning 19th century Scottish baronial style mansion inhabited today by the Colthurst family. These stones are called the 7 Sisters, and legend has it that an ancient Irish king had 7 daughters and 2 sons, and one day there was an invasion and he had to go to battle to protect his land. He won the battle, but unfortunately he lost his 2 sons who were killed by his enemy. On his way back to the castle here at Blarney, he instructed some of his men to go to the 9 druid stones that we're now stood in and to push over 2 of them. There's one, and if we move around here you can see the second, and those 2 fallen stones represent the sons, leaving the 7 sisters. Our visit to Blarney saw the last nice day of our holiday. It was torrential rain, and our only option was to explore the nearby city of Cork. There's been a market on this site since 1788, but the facade that you can see here wasn't built until the mid-19th century. The term English market was also coined in the mid-19th century to distinguish this establishment from the Irish market. Now a major tourist attraction, this food market has been described by Rick Stein as the best covered market in the UK and Ireland. Looking at the amazing produce on sale, I can see why he'd say that. Not only is the produce fantastic, but the architecture is absolutely beautiful. Look at this vaulted ceiling. Pip and I were slightly confused by the image of King Charles in a diving suit, however. If you're looking for a cosy place to have a drink, then the Mutton Lane Inn, down Mutton Lane, is a must. Pip and I had lunch in a Greek restaurant and I was particularly drawn to this dish.
This is how cold it is here in Ireland. You can probably hear that it's hail and it's 6 degrees but feels like 4. Is this really April or November?
As it was still raining the next day, we went back to Cork to visit the famous city jail. The building of the city jail commenced in 1818. It served the city for just over 100 years, finally being closed in 1923. This is a glass screen protecting prisoners' graffiti. What's this say? Philippa Perryman was here. In some of the cells we see models of previous prisoners. This is Thomas Rail. He was convicted of stealing books and sentenced to solitary confinement in order to contemplate his wrongdoings. Edward O'Brien, on the other hand, was a well-known pickpocket and is serving a 3-week sentence on this occasion with twice weekly whippings for his petty theft. He is 9 years of age. And Julia Twomey, a recurrent shoplifter, was on this occasion serving 2 weeks for her crime. She was 10 years of age. The most heinous punishment, of course, was saved for the worst criminals. Philippa was 66 years of age. Well, they let Pip off for good behaviour and we left the prison after an amazing visit and headed down into the city, crossing the River Lee. Cork has got some great street art, including this statue of Michael Collins. It's outside of the Imperial Hotel, where in room 115 Michael was to spend the last 2 nights of his life before being assassinated in 1921. The great revolutionary can also be found on Grand Parade with his bicycle. Well, it kept on raining, so we headed back to the English market for an amazing lunch. Sitting on the first floor of the English market is the Farmgate restaurant. Pip and I thought the food was amazing, and if you don't believe me, listen to A.A. Gill in the Sunday Times magazine. It's a restaurant rooted in good things and fine tastes, all served with pleasure and good nature. I have to agree. So, finally beaten by the lack of fuel and the weather, we head back to Rosslare.
God, I look like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards.
Good morning. It's now the Tuesday the 14th of April.
Yeah.
And you can tell by the look on our faces that it's been probably the worst holiday in history, certainly in our history, I would say. We arrived in Ireland last Wednesday, so six days ago, intending to stay for 2 weeks, already having had a delay with the ferry cancelled coming over. We arrive in Ireland, and what do we find? We find two things. One, it's raining for basically most of the 2 weeks, with the odd day of sunshine potentially. But more significantly, the Irish are not happy with fuel prices, and with the Iran war pushing prices even higher. I'm sure you've seen the news, the protests, slow-moving traffic everywhere, and over half of the fuel stations throughout Ireland running out of fuel with massive queues, which meant that
It totally impacted all our plans.
Yeah.
And we didn't drive anywhere because if we ran out of fuel, there was very little chance of getting fuel again. So
there was a high risk we wouldn't get fuel again. So we drove. In the end, we drove 125 miles or so to Blarney near Cork. To be fair, we had a nice day in Blarney. That was lovely. We popped into Cork for a couple of days. Cork's a nice place. So we made the most of the few days we were there, and then decided to cut our losses and come back. Sorry,
our ferry was right. Ferry was cancelled yesterday.
Our ferry was cancelled yesterday on the way back, so we're now sat at 6:50 or so in the morning, waiting at Rosslare harbour.
And
for
the
this
weather
ferry.
is awful. It's pouring with rain and it's really windy, and I'm not looking forward to the journey home
Neither.
Please wish me luck. I think it's going to be a rough crossing.
I think we'll need it.